Hello and welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm Paul Richard, and we have a special guest today, Kat Williams, and she is here from Springfield, Missouri, and she is the leader of Courageous Business Networking. And so good to have you on, Kat. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, I've been a part of Courageous Networking, I believe, probably about 8 to 10 months now, and really enjoying the relationships that are being built. Uh, Give us a little background about you and what caused you to start this networking.
Well, I've been networking for a very long time. I was in the hotel industry before I became a commission sales person back in 2009. I managed hotels for 10 years in Springfield. So I networked for those hotels and met some people. And the Lord decided to take me out of the hotel business and get me on the mission field of networking. And so some people that I met there had asked me to help them build a networking group. And so I did that for about 10 years. And then, things changed. Life changes, our journey changes. And I, have been doing commission sales again since 2009. And the networking worked very well for me to get those sales. But when life changed and I left that networking group, I thought I was going into women's ministry, but the Lord had other plans for me, and we're buffering. And so
It's okay.
ended up starting Courageous Business Connect, and just wanted it to be different than any other networking groups. A lot of the networking groups were, they're very much industry specific. If you don't make the meetings, you kind of get your hands slapped if you don't have somebody to fill in for you. All the years of networking that I did. And I would always say, if I'm in West Plains or Neosho and I'm enrolling a group, then I can't be at my networking group. And if I can't find somebody, I'm not going to not go enroll people. And, that's how I made my living for me and my daughter. So I wanted to change that when I started my own networking group. I wanted it to set apart and be different, just like the Bible says. We should be set apart and different and be a peculiar people that draws people to us. And so when the Lord and I got through fighting about everything, and he told me I wasn't going to do women's ministry, I was going to be back on the mission field of networking, I said, okay, how are we going to do it? And so 3 days praying in a journal, and that's how I came up with Courageous Business Connect and how we do it. We're just a little different than anyone else out there. What else you want to know about it?
I agree. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. A couple things. So once the Lord got your attention and you had the right ideas he wanted. So what happened as far as, did you just start one group? How did you launch the thing from there?
I called some very close friends of mine, and I just called a meeting together and had a room of about 35 people and tell them what I was planning on doing and how it would be different. It's not industry exclusive. We have no attendance policy, but that doesn't mean that if you never show up, then you're not going to get the full benefits of what networking is all about. But I put that policy in there for the commission salespeople. We want to cheer you on to success, not slap your hand because you didn't make a meeting. If you have a money-making appointment and you're going to go do business, just let us know, because we want to encourage you. We want to cheer you. We want to be there to support you. And so that's why we don't have an attendance policy. And then it's an open group, so there could be more than one person. And as I've found over the last 8 years of doing this, having my own networking group, that some people in the same industry, if they build good relationships, then they can trust each other with their clients. And if they have, one of them has something that the other one doesn't do, then they can trust their clients with that person, that they're not going to take the whole business. Also, as you know, as realtors, you and one of our realtors have done deals together, and so not being industry exclusive has some good benefits too, being an open. And once you're a member of our group, then you can come and go to all the groups as much as you want, or whatever your schedule allows. So let's say normally you come on a Tuesday, but you're filled up on a Tuesday, but your Thursday morning opened up. You can pop into our Thursday morning group and network with those people. And so I call it freedom in networking. I give you lots of freedom to do your business the way that you want to do it, and give you a platform where you can build those good relationships and opportunities. And so what else makes this different? We're very positive from beginning to end. I'm very big on the DISC personality test because I know that well. So we start off with an affirmation. Some people love it, some people hate it. If you're a high D, you're going to absolutely hate it, but you're going to get used to it. I have one lady in our group that's very high D. When she first started, she absolutely hated it. Now she says the affirmations all the time at her own, place where she gets her leaders together. And now they're doing affirmations, which I think is hilarious. But I'm a huge affirmation person. I teach them when I do coaching with people. So they're just good. And they're fun. And they get your spirit up. I say I only have 4 rules to play my playground: honesty, integrity, the golden rule, and have fun doing it. So joyfulness is very important to me. Not only does it make you feel good, but if you have a happy heart, it just boils out onto other people. And so that's why I put fun as part of our rules. What else? So anyway, I've been doing this for 8 years. Teaching people how to network is the other thing I do. I coach networking and how to be a great networker, and to people, and help them. And I love to watch people succeed. I tell people my drug of choice is connecting people together. So I love to make those connections happen and build those friendships.
I love
Throw me
that.
another
I
question.
love that. And I've seen that in you, just getting to know you. What's that?
I said, throw me another question.
Oh, okay. You did great. You did great. So, all right. Yeah, that's a great outline of what you do differently. And a lot of us have been, I don't know, just in networking meetings or groups that have caused us to feel high anxiety, and it's almost like a second job to you because of the requirements, etc. And I understand that, those things. And so I see that you made it different. What challenges have you had in building the networking group? So there are particular challenges that you have that were maybe unexpected as you've gone through?
Probably my biggest challenge is a personal challenge. Uh, I had to take care of my sister who had dementia until she died. One of the things that she asked me when she came to live with me was not to put her in a nursing home. And so the last couple of years of her life did not allow me to be everywhere that I wanted to be. And so I think that was a big challenge, trying to, because throughout all my networking, if someone had an event, I made it a point to be at every event, to everything that my people were doing, because I wanted them to know that I supported them. And so the last couple of years of her life was very challenging for me to be able to make those events like I wanted to. And, growing our groups is also getting out and meeting other people. It's also, going to other networking events, open networking events and chamber events and stuff like that, and inviting people in. So when you're kind of tied down and you're not able to go as much, that's been my challenge the last few years.
Understood. Understood. My mother had a dementia events for a couple of years, and I totally understand that because you love them, you have to take care of them. It all falls on you to make those decisions, and you have to give the time, and it takes a lot of time. It really does, and those are where I think God calls you to do that. And with my mom, of course, that was yes, give her the time. It was during COVID. It was very difficult in my case to even be around her because they kind of locked down everything, as you remember. So yeah, I had that pain in my business as well, and I understand that. Is so let's talk about Courageous as it is today. What meetings do you have going? How many do you have going? Approximate members, that type of thing. What does the network look like these days?
So we have 4 groups right now. I'm hoping in the next year we'll rebuild back up some groups. And then we have around 150 members. I'm not trying to be the
Fantastic.
biggest and the best
Fantastic.
out there.
Yes.
I'm not in competition with anyone else. If someone else is happy that they have, 30 groups, well, good for you. I'm glad that you have 30 groups. I'm not trying to be the biggest and the best. What I want to be is value to people and touch people's lives. That's my biggest goal. That's my mission. I want to touch somebody's life to be better. If I have 30 to 100 groups someday and do that, that's great. If I have 5 to 10 groups, that's great too. Wherever the Lord wants me to go, that's where I'm going to go. So
Very good. Very good. Do you find that the attendance shifts? This is being my first year in the networking groups I'm in, including Courageous. It's been interesting to watch the ebb and flow of attendance. Do you see since you've done it 8 years, do you see a seasonal attendance change? Do you see economic factors change attendance sometimes, or what? I'm just curious because some of those things, I wonder. When things get tough, the tough get going, right? Sometimes, and so I wonder. What have you seen in regards to that, as far as in attendance in the networking groups?
So networking groups are just like anything else. It's like a roller coaster. People's lives change because you're dealing with people and circumstances, and it's a service industry. So people come and go from different jobs. People tend to maybe close one business, start another business, or it's constantly flowing, and you never know. Around the June and July, when school is out, attendance will go way down, especially in July, right before school starts, because everybody's trying to get their trips in. And then school starts, you have great attendance for a few months. Then the holidays hit, and then everything just goes crazy at the holidays because you have Thanksgiving, and usually the groups are canceling a couple of meetings because of Thanksgiving. And people tend to think in their minds, there's a holiday, it's a holiday week. So they may be gone all week because of one holiday. December, you got your Thanksgiving break, kids are out of school. When kids are out of school, attendance goes down. Christmas break, attendance will go down again. Then after New Year's, you'll see a rise in attendance again until the next holiday, and then it'll go back down. And so it's constantly flowing like that. And you just have to ride the wave, as it comes in and goes out, just like the
Sure,
top.
sure. Yeah, that's very interesting. I was just curious about that because it's, as I've watched and go to the different groups, I normally attend I would say about 10 to 12 groups a week, okay, right now. And so I'm bouncing around a lot and learning a lot about this whole process. In fact, you coached me a little bit before we opened this podcast, and maybe let's talk about best practices a little bit and what you coach and recommend on best practices for networking. Can you outline a few things that really you've seen the most successful networking people do, and what those are specifically, and how people could implement that?
So, the foundation to referrals is, and I will always say, your one-on-ones. To set up those one-on-ones. If you don't have a money-making appointment, sorry, then you need to be either at a networking group or a one-on-one. And what you do at a one-on-one is half the time is yours and half the time is someone else's to learn about that person and learn about their business. You're not going to learn everything in an hour about somebody, but you're going to know if you like them or not, and if you want to refer them. And you're going to get enough knowledge about their business that when you're talking to a client, you're going to be able to refer that person. Or if you see it on Facebook, you're able to refer that person. So one-on-ones is the foundation and the key to getting referrals. The more one-on-ones you do, the more referrals you're going to get. The more referrals you give, people are going to seek you out to give you a referral. So if you're the person that is constantly giving out referrals, it's just like, the Bible says, the more you give, the more you're going to receive. So if, I'm out there and I get you a dozen referrals for your VA business, then you're going to be seeking to find somebody to buy my insurance or me marry somebody or me coach somebody. You're going to seek whatever it is I'm looking for that week to try to help me find that person. Am I right? If I give you a dozen referrals, you're going to be like, oh.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And so it's building those relationships.
You'll be my new best friend.
Yeah. Giving out more than what you expect to receive. A giving heart is a great thing. And that's why one of the things that we say at the end of the meeting that I'm trying to put into people's head is to be a good giver and not a receiver. That's why I say that at the end of the meeting. Who wants to be a good giver? And everybody says, I do. Well, if you really do, then you're going to seek out and help people and be that giver. Give more than you expect to receive. Because then people will want to be like, hey, Paul has gave me a bunch of referrals. I have got to find somebody to give to him. And so those are some key foundations. And being present, being seen, when you are at functions and things, Ken Jensen does a great job of this. When he takes the pictures and, posts them about where he's at, everybody knows who Ken is around Springfield because of him being present and being seen. And so that's why I encourage people, when you're doing your one-on-ones with each other, take a picture with each other, put it on each other's Facebook, and talk about the other person. Because you're being seen, you're helping the other person. Jeremy Hunt the other day, he's a shelter insurance agent in Nexa. And one of our members, who is a love and life coach, was doing a speed dating, having trouble getting guys there. And so Jeremy made one post and got her about a dozen guys to come to the speed dating thing. It had nothing to do with insurance. It had nothing to do except for helping someone else out and being able to help them. Now, she's going to remember that because she talks about it at every meeting, how Jeremy helped with one post to get the guys there that she needed. She's going to be thinking next time she hears somebody with insurance, she's going to give that to Jeremy, that referral to him, because she remembered what he did for her with no expectations. And that's the thing about giving referrals. Don't expect anything in return.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. You do have to go with that giving thought and every time. And I'll give you an interesting example of this. And also, I don't know if you mentioned this specifically, but one of the things I think about in the difference between like Courageous and some of the other networking groups with exclusivity factors in them is that, as humans, as business people, we have relationships that we bring into the group, right? We all do. We all do.
Mhm.
And I may have an electrician that I've used for, 10 years. And then if I join the group, there's an electrician there. Well, I like to be honest and just say, you know what? I'm using this gentleman right now. We built this relationship over time. So all my business for electrical is going to go here, but I'd love to put you in maybe a backup position, or what I would say is, you're my follow-up man in this lineup, and that type of thing. And be honest with them, because if you just don't say anything, or they're like going, well, I never get a referral from Paul. What's the reason? They would understand that, right? Because we have a bigger vision than just, the 20 people in our group or whatever, and that type of thing. So what I found with you and your groups is that, we understand that. We're honest with each other. We're open. This goes on. And the example I was going to make is my next door neighbor's car had a transmission issue. Okay. And through the networking, I've met several just outstanding auto mechanic shops and auto mechanic owners. And so I was thinking, okay, when I was trying to help my neighbor out, I said, well, where's the location of the closest one? Because the transmission problem, you have to tow it. And so funny thing was, I called two of the networking group mechanics and I said, here's the situation. We're trying to figure out an option here. Timeliness is going to matter. Estimate of, what you think it might cost. We had an idea of what needed to be done. Two shops had already said that either we don't do that, or you probably need a transmission replacement, this kind of thing. And that's scary, right? And then that. So I called both of those two shops, talked to the owners that I know, said here's the situation again. We made a decision based upon location and timing for them to get it up on the lift and get it done. So we picked one over the other. I called the other one. I said, look, this is what happened. I want you to know this has nothing to do with, you or whatever. It was just a matter of we had to make a decision between one or two, right? and
Right.
and they understood. In fact, in our meeting this week, they said, Paul, thank you for thinking of us. And we understand what happened there. Okay. So there was no harm, no foul, no nothing. And that's what you have to do. You have to be open about it, because our relationships are so wide. What do we say? We bring like 200 different relationships into any situation, right? That we have in business. And so it's going to be those things. So my view is, tell it like it is. Here, good, bad, or ugly, this is what's going down, and do it that way. How do you feel about that? That seems like that was the best way to do that.
Well, I always believe honesty is the best, no matter what. To be honest with people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are some networking groups out there, though, that say if you join this group, you have to refer to people in this group, or we will kick you out. And I really dislike that. Yeah. So
Sure.
again, that's one of the reasons I'm an open group, is because I think you should do business with people you know, like, and trust. And plus, if you are required to do so many referrals a week, are those really going to be genuine referrals, or are they just going to be, oh, shoot, I got to get my numbers in? Let me give out a bunch of referrals that are just wild goose chases that aren't really good referrals. So I would rather have that good introduction, or, honesty. Honesty is great. And so what you did was really, really good with that, and that they understood was really great. So you did do good. I do like the accountability of being in a network group, because, if you are giving a referral, you like to follow up on that sometimes to make sure that both parties have done what they did. So a lot of times a great introduction with those two parties is the best way to do that also. So, but that was great. You went the extra mile, and people will remember that.
Well, and that's a wonderful thing, as well as, I have a realtor hat and the virtual assistant hat, and in all the networking groups, it's the virtual assistant hat. You're right. Except, and I don't hide the fact that I am licensed and been in real estate for 20 years, because I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. And that's the thing, that's why it's at least mentioned in my presentation and my spotlight and that type of thing. It's just part of who I am, right? And so I would rather approach the realtor in the group and say, look, hey, I'm not here to take your business. If anybody, I'm not going to talk to somebody in this group about that, that type of thing, and keep it all above board in that way. So there's the thing is, limit the drama, limit the suspicions, as best you can. You can't manage everything, right? So
right.
At the same time, do the best you can to just, keep everything above board. Like you said, the golden rule, that's how I would want to be treated, and so I would treat you that way, right?
And that's the other thing that makes us different, is that if you have more than one business, I'll let you talk about it in our group. Because, there are people that do multiple things. And in some of the other groups, you have to pay for each thing that you do. Well, I mean, really? I guess, if that's the way they want to do it, that's fine. But for me, if you do more than one thing, I allow you to talk about more than one thing for your membership. Another thing that sets me apart and makes me different and unique. So
it does. Yeah. And so, and just watching you show up at at Alamo as much as you can every week for the Rising Tide. You show up at the Faith in Business. At least we saw each other this last time, and those kind of things. And so you're present for your people, and so they know that you do support them. So I will say, out of practice, I really appreciate that. And, I don't get a sense from you that, hey, I'm doing it just to try and, get you to do something for me. You know what I'm saying? I've been in meetings or even one-to-ones where it's, it feels a lot of pressure for me to use them or do something, and that's uncomfortable. I'm just here to learn and do that. And I find that from you. So I appreciate your relationship, your friendship that we have, and we've grown over the last, just under a year, I guess. We've been meeting together at the Founders Group. So, and it's interesting to watch you make decisions on, like, we had just had to change locations of the Founders Group, and just to see how you went about that process, right? And to do that, because, got to keep the overhead low, right, as we can, right? Because really, if all 12 groups I go to each week, if I had to buy, a $20 lunch and that type thing, plus gas, plus this, plus, but, it's going to cost me $400 a week to be in networking. And so you just can't do it. Right. So you have to economize at some level there too, but it's so valuable. And your time, of course, is valuable to be in it. So as we wrap up here, is there any words of wisdom you'd love to share with the viewers about networking, those types of things before we close.
So, if you want to be a good networker, every time you go to a networking event, I don't care if it's mine or anyone else's, a chamber, whatever, and you get all those stacks of cards, go through there, find at least 2 people, set up a coffee time to meet with them on a one-to-one. Be a good listener is the second thing. Listen more than you talk, and then help that person out. Find someone and do an introduction. Ask them what they need. Who are you looking for this week? How can I help you better your business? Who can I get you an introduction to? And see, what they need. Because you never know. Never know who someone knows. And never not, this is my big, big thing, never not have a one-on-one with someone because you think you don't need their product or their service. Because you do not know who they know. So what if a Mary Kay person comes up to you and says, hey, I want to do a one-on-one? You don't know her husband may be the corporation CEO that you wanted to get in front of. So never not set up a one-on-one or prejudge someone because you really don't know who they know or what they can do for you. But you have to be a good listener. Listen to what they say, what they do, and who they need. And try to fill that need, and they will remember you for helping them. No kind act ever goes unturned. So the more kindness you are, the more you give, the more you're going to receive. And if it's genuine, people know that. And that's the other thing. Be genuine. Be honest. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Just be you. And be the best you that you can be. So that's my advice.
That's awesome.
My words of wisdom for the day.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, that's great advice. That's good wisdom for today. And I maybe I'll just share this. It's kind of funny along the lines of that. And the other thing is, from a biblical standpoint, do the Matthew 13 thing if you have a conflict. Or is it Matthew 11 or Matthew 13? I'm having a change. But how to deal with, like, if there's a conflict or something's going wrong. I had an issue one time with a group, and the one person told the leader told the owner of the network group, the owner of the network group told the guy that was over my group. Then so we had 5 people involved in a confrontation that I didn't even know was a confrontation, or an offense, if you will. And so just, go directly to people if you have an issue. Don't be afraid of conflict, because some of the best relationships I have developed out of a conflict that started, and then because we misunderstood each other, and later on we grew into be fantastic friends. You know what I'm saying? Right. So keep the drama low and you'll go far, right? So
right.
All right. Well, Kat, thank you so much for being with us, and we hope to have you on again as time progresses. But thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun. I loved it. I